Welcome to Patty's Aquatics. So, do you have extra fish or plants or shrimp within your aquariums that you want to sell maybe to make a few extra bucks? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you a quick, cost-effective, and easy breeding for profit setup that I'm going to implement in my fish room. So stick around and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. So this can be an expensive hobby, I know. So when I got back into this hobby after taking a break some years ago, I got a tank for free with the substrate and filter and heater and all that. And I told my wife, it's only going to cost about $50 to get fish to get this thing set up. That's all it's going to cost. Well, thousands of dollars later and years later and all these tanks and fish and everything involved, I still hear that from my wife about, I thought it was only going to be $50, typically every time I want to order some new fish. So that's where this breeding for profit can come in very handy for hobbyists, whether you have one tank or you have 100. You know, if you have a type of fish or you grow plants, things like that, that can be grown and cultivated and sold, whether it be at swap meets or in person locally or to your local fish stores, you can make a few extra bucks off of that. So I want to get into that a little closer today. So let me show you some of my tanks and show you what I got planned. So before I show you what I'm going to be using for this breeding for profit setup, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to put in there. Now, ideally, you don't want to use a separate tank or container or whatever you're going to use for individual plants, for individual fish, and for individual shrimp or whatever you plan on breeding unless you have to. So ideally, you would like to be able to make one that has something for all of them. If you can put plants, shrimp, and fish that all will survive and cohabitate together all in one container to be able to breed, you're maximizing your space, you're maximizing your profits to be able to not only have multiple containers possibly then with multiple different species, but be able to have multiple in each one. Now I find that ideal and the best way to do it. So what am I going to do? Well, I put a video out about some months ago about a cheap and easy plant and fish breeding setup in these totes, and I'll link it up here. And one of these totes was actually from that setup. Now, why did I empty it? Well, I put the fish that were in there out of my summer tubs this summer, and all that was in there were basically just plants, and they were growing, but it was dirted, which is not a bad thing. I could dirt all these if I wanted to, but I really wanted to do something a little different. I wanted it to be more easy to be able to take plants out without making a big mess, since it is a breeding setup one and not really a longevity tank like one of my other ones here where I want to be able to grow the plants long term. And it'll be easier to remove anything out of there if I need to or if I want to start something over. So that's why I'm going to get away from dirt on these. But what am I going to put in them? Well, I got 3 containers, and what I'm going to do is each one I'm going to put some shrimp in. So I have red really shrimp that I'm going to put in one of them. I have a little container of just cherry shrimp. And another one with my blue dreams. So that is the plan. By going to swap meets in the past, shrimp has been a hot commodity. So I really want to try to maximize on that. I love shrimp to begin with, so I can add them to my tanks as well as a few of them that don't have shrimp in them yet. But to be able to have the opportunity to be able to sell them at some of these swaps and kind of mass produce them would be ideal as well to make a few extra bucks. So in these containers, I'm going to put a little bit of sand at the bottom, and I'm going to put some plants, and then I'm going to put some shrimp. One species in each container. Now, after I do that, I'll explain what I'm going to do fish-wise. Now, like I said, I'm going to put some sand on these in the bottom for some substrate, mostly for the plants, but I also like to make it look a little natural compared to just a bare bottom. Now, can you leave them bare bottom? Can you leave a tank bare bottom to breed these fish and stuff? Absolutely. But with plants, it gets a little trickier unless you're using just a water column plant. You may want to put them in some little pots, which could effectively raise your prices on your plants because they're going to look more professional. But like I said, I prefer to do it this way, and it's just going to be much easier. So let me get the sand in these containers. All right, so I got them set up, and let me show you what I did. So this first one I have in there really just Sagittaria right now, and then I have a clump of Java moss. Now I know it looks very bare, but that will grow in, and as I trim my plants and de-weed them here and there, I will add those species to this container. And in this one, I'm going to add my red really shrimp. I'm going to put those in there now. So, like I said, looks very bare now, but they'll get along, those plants will grow in, and I'll get more. Now, next one. This one is going to be exclusively all Ludwigia. This is one of my favorite plants in my tank, so not only can I sell them, I can use them for myself, but they grow real nice. So this will stay that. I got that heavily planted. They'll grow in very tall. And what I'm putting in here are my Blue Dream shrimps. Shrimps. And them out, and I want to take that guppy grass out because that'll be a pain in my side. Get off there, shrimp. Anyway, all right, so that one's done. And then this last one, all I have in here is a clump of pearlweed for now. I want to try to grow something else in here. I'm not 100% sure yet. I could put my Pogostemon stellatus octopus in here once it starts to grow more. I just trimmed them all lately and put them in another tank, so I can't use them currently. I could put crypts or something like that, but I prefer to have a fast growing plant because that's really going to capitalize on that maximum profit you can make, other than some plant that's going to have to sit there for months and months and months really to grow and be able to replicate. I want something that's going to go fast. So this one's going to be my cherry shrimp. We'll add those. All right, so the shrimp are in the containers, but you're probably asking, what about fish, Patty? Well, that's what we're going to talk about next. I currently do not have any fish I want to put in there as of now. So ideally, these rice fish I got from LRB, the King Yama red and orange rice fish, I'm going to try to breed them yet. I'm going to put some spawning mops in there and see if I can get some eggs. And then the plan is take those spawning mops and put them in one of these totes and have that specifically be a grow out for that fish. Now, it'll be the same thing possibly with my white cloud minnows. If I start to get them to produce more, I can use one tote specifically just for them to grow them up. And that could be same said for any of these here. My Metano rice fish, this is another one I want to try to grow out yet. So we'll just have to see as far as what I put in there. But I know one will be dedicated to those King Yama rice fish for sure, and one possibly to the white clouds if I can get them to breed more. But other than that, for now, they're just going to be shrimp. But like I said, I can add fish to them at any time and to maximize really the profits I can get out of each one. And then now they're going to be tucked away underneath my stand, so they'll be out of the way, out of mind. I just got to feed them, and I got lights on them. So that's my cheap, easy, affordable breeding for profit setup. And I highly recommend it for anybody that's in the hobby that wants to make a few extra bucks. You don't even have to have them in containers. You could just use them in your own tank if you want. Say you have one tank. You have one tank only, but you're growing lots of plants. You're breeding lots of shrimp in them. Or you have guppies and have lots of guppies breeding. You could take those to your local fish store and see what they'll give you. You could still breed out of just your normal tank that you have and still make money off of it. I just prefer to be able to have something separate from my normal tanks to be able to try to capitalize a little bit more on some of these shrimp and plants, because when I go to these swap meets, like I said, my plants always sell out. Shrimps are a hot commodity. And then on top of it, I take like fish like these, my high-fin blue coral variatis, or my Taiwanese red and orange double sword guppies. I'll bring pairs of those when the tanks start to get overstocked a little bit, and they sell for me as well. So it's all about making a few extra bucks to be able to help supplement to your hobby, to help supplement for bills, for food, for equipment. And that's what it's all about. And that's what this breeding for profit, it's all about. Now, ideally, one day I would love to be able to take the money I make from YouTube, which isn't much right now, but be able to grow my channel to make more, breed more, and use that as my main income and quit my factory job. I don't think that'll ever happen, but everyone can have goals in life. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you liked the breeding setup, the breeding for profit setup I put up, and encourage you to maybe try it yourself. Get out there, breed a few things, talk to your local fish stores, go to local swap meets or fish clubs and see what people have and what they're willing to sell for you, and give it a try. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed my little breeding for profit setup. So hit that subscribe button if you're already not subscribed to my channel, and consider hitting that join button if you'd like to become a paid member of my channel. I also have merch. I have merch in the description of my video. I have a link to my Teespring store, so check that out if you're interested. And then, as always, remember to think outside the box and take a step back into nature. I hope to see you next time here at Patty's Aquatics.